Hello Yu-Gi-Oh players and welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! In Business Casual. I'm your host, the RJB0. So it has been a long time since I have made a video for you guys. It's been like 3 weeks or month-ish. Anyway, it's been a while. So I actually just got back from a tour in San Francisco with my choir. It was pretty awesome, but I realized when I got back that I have been so busy that I have not made any content for you guys. And I realized that you guys really deserve some content because you're subscribed to me and you're waiting with bated breath for my every video, and you're not getting any, and I am relieving you guys of the anguish. This week I'm going to be cranking out a ton of videos, but really, right now we're going to focus on the here and now. And the last time I was sitting in this chair in front of this window, I was bringing you guys the Thunder Family deck that brought me to Nationals. And once again, I'm sitting in this chair in front of this video, and I'm bringing you guys a Thunder Family deck. Now, this is a heavily tweaked version of the Thunder Family deck that I gave to you guys before. It's very updated. It is built for post-Lord of Tachyon Galaxy format. Now, I wanted to bring this deck to Nats, but I decided against it. A couple reasons. First, I decided I'm probably not going to do terribly well at Nats. I might make it to day 2. I don't know. So I figured I'd rather, instead of running a deck that, is kind of my own creation, is kind of my playstyle, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this deck, it's one of my favorites I've ever made. I'd rather bring a deck that is of my own design and has totally original playstyle. So I am working on a couple of other decks, and I'm not going to be bringing this to Nats. However, this deck can do very well against Dragons and Prophecy. The other reason why I didn't want to bring a Thunder Family deck to Nats is because the version that really has the strategies that beat that beat Dragons and Prophecy heavily, that really slaughter them if you get them, are so bent on those strategies that the deck is A, very linear and very boring, and B, gets derailed really easily just by like one Veiler or a Bottomless or something like that. So those versions that really go for the Crimson Bladers and Shockmasters are versions I didn't want to run. So the version I'm giving you guys today is actually built for my local meta, where Evilswarms are the dominating force. Evilswarms are extremely popular here, mostly because they're relatively cheap, and also because we seem to have a massive boner for the anti-meta here. There are a lot of Evilswarms, lots of Constellars, lots of Fire Fist, but, aside from those and those Constellars and Fire Fists and a few Dragon players and a couple of Prophecy players, really the dominating force here is Evilswarm. So this version of the deck is the Swarm Exterminator. I don't think this version of the deck at least, has lost a single match to Evilswarms in all the time that I've been playing it at my locals and at a couple of other places. It's lost, I don't even know how many games it's lost. It's only been a couple. Anyway, the point is, it's really good against Evilswarm. It's decent against Dragons, so it can survive a lot at your local meta, even on the regional level, but it's really geared toward beating Evilswarm. So the way this deck looks is you've got your 3 Thunder Seahorse, extremely self-explanatory. It's basically, if you draw this card, the sooner you draw it, the sooner you win the game. It's just amazing. I've had somebody suggest that I only run 2. I tried it. I think they're smoking something, because really, if you can draw this card, you're basically going to gain tons of advantage very, very quickly. So I don't see why you wouldn't run 3. Then you've got the actual heart and soul of the deck, your Thunder Family, starting with the 3 Maw Hunter, then you've got the 3 Paw Hunter, and the one that's surprising a lot of people recently is 2 Sis Hunter, because previously I've really not liked Sis Hunter. I have my issues with the speed issues that it causes. There are just a lot of strategies that before I thought were really terrible because of how slow they made the deck. But I'm finding more and more that this card is coming in serious handy. Besides, if you open with this card and the Thunder Seahorse, you are going to be doing very well. I often play how many pluses can I get off of one Thunder Seahorse with that card. So you discard the Seahorse, you add the Sis Hunters, you summon this Sis Hunter, get back a Seahorse, you use the Seahorse, you get 2 more cards, you use the Sis Hunter, bring back the Seahorse, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, it's really fun. If you can slow down the game enough to use that combo, you can gain massive amounts of advantage, and that's a lot of what this version of the deck is built around. So other than that, and explanations for the Thunder Family choices that I've made, a lot of the Thunder Watt decks that I have seen only run 2 of the Maw Hunter and the Paw Hunter, but I really think in a version that is this bent on making Xyz monsters, you really need that extra power, which is why I also added a Photon Thrasher, which adds more lubrication to my Xyzing plays. I might add another one just to make the deck faster. I'm thinking about it. I'll talk about that later. Then we've got the real core of the deck. I mean, those are the core, but this is the real core. I'm just going to keep on adding, like, this is the most important card. No, this is the most important card, because that's kind of what I do. But this is my favorite card of the deck. Thunder, Watt Cobra. I can names. Anyway, Watt Cobra is my favorite card of the deck. It is the card that has been really making this deck my own version of the deck. It's amazing, especially if you can keep it on the board. You can just generate tons of pluses with this card, and you can make any Xyz monster a 1-for-1. It makes Paladynamo frickin' amazing because you can make it, you know, you can make an opponent's monster useless with your Paladynamo. You can get a card from your deck, and then you can get that plus once the Paladynamo is actually finally taken out, if they ever manage to get rid of the darn thing. So Watt Cobra is amazing. You use the Watt Cobra to get your 3 Watt Giraffes. Now this is a big change from my last one. Last time I was only running 1, but since then I've realized that this card single-handedly wipes out the Evilswarm matchup, because with the amount of spot removal you have in this deck, with the amount of Xyz power, this card can stop your opponent from protecting their Ophion. Like, say you've got a compulsory face down and they already had the pandemic or whatever, you couldn't use that compulsory, then you can run that Watt Giraffe into your opponent's life points, and then you can compulsory and they can't activate pandemic in response. You can also do that in combination with one of my Xyz power cards, one of my, you know, Paw Hunter, Maw Hunter, or Photon Thrasher, and then overlay into a Paladynamo, and they can't bottomless it, they can't warning it, they can't compulse it, and you can get rid of that Ophion. Watt Giraffe has just been spectacularly good for this deck. Then, for the hand traps, we have 2 Veilers. I don't actually use Max C simply because this deck generates so much hand advantage that I sometimes actually have to start setting normal spells in order to get rid of cards in my hands without having to discard at the end of the turn. So Max C isn't really all that helpful to me, but Veiler really stops those Bahamut plays, it stops those Dragasack plays, and it stops things like Big Eye, and it's extremely crucial to this deck. So I'm running 2 of them. I might even run 3 if I think about it. Anyway, then we have Honest. Now, a lot of people are saying that Honest is not good for this format because of the lack of battle phasing that is happening, because they keep destroying your monsters before they can attack. And really, I think that my opponent is not going to concern themselves much with the attack power of my Watt Cobra, so they're more likely to go for my back row than for my Watt Cobra itself, since they're going to assume that they can run over it. If I have Honest in my hand, though, they're going to go for that back row, and then they're going to think that they can run over my Watt Cobra, and then they can't. So that is going to be extremely helpful for you. It also aids with your Sis Hunter Thunder Seahorse plays. Then I have 1 Book of Moon, 1 Forbidden Lance. I'm really tempted to take out this Book of Moon and put in a 2nd Forbidden Lance. Actually, I really want to put in a 2nd Forbidden Lance, maybe even a 3rd, but I don't actually have a 2nd Forbidden Lance for now. So I'm making do with Book of Moon, which allows me to get some extra Xyz plays in there, you know, allows me to run over Ophion more easily. There are just a lot of great things that I can do with Book of Moon. So it's working as a 2nd Forbidden Lance for me just fine. Then we have my recycling power cards, Recycling Batteries, Monster Reborn, and Pot of Avarice. Now, a lot of you guys who know me well know that I absolutely hate Pot of Avarice, but I have to admit it works really well for this deck because you run through your entire Watt engine with your Cobra, and you've just got all these Watt monsters in your grave, and you've got that Pot of Avarice for the extra draw power and the recycling, and you can start your Watt engine all over again. Then Recycling Batteries is just one of the MVPs of the deck, and Monster Reborn works out pretty well, especially with Watt Giraffe. Then for the traps, we've got 3 compulsory evacuation devices. I think that this card is frickin' amazing, this format. It helps you to beat those Ophions. It helps you to keep your monsters on the board against Dragasack. There are just so many things that you can do with this card that will really help your game. So definitely run 3. I'd run 6 if possible. Then we've got your 2 Threatening Roars. The fact that this is a minus doesn't hurt you in the slightest, simply because of the sheer amount of advantage that you can produce. Just so many pluses come out of this. Like, if you protect your Watt Cobra with Threatening Roar, then it's already paid for itself because that Watt Cobra is going to get back another monster during your next turn. So Threatening Roar does not really act that much of a minus in this deck and is actually extremely helpful in keeping your opponent from OTKing or something like that and allowing you to get some more pluses and more pokes. And Bottomless is extremely important in this format. It helps you get rid of those Dragosacs, gets rid of Ophion, it gets rid of tons of plays, and allows you to act against your opponent without having that second Salt Morning in the game. Then we have 2 D Prisms. I'm actually tempted to take these out for maybe a Forbidden Lance and another Photon Thrasher or something like that, so I don't have to take out the Book of Moon, so since it's been so good to me. But right now, D Prison is actually doing me some good because of its ability to get around things like Dragosac, which can protect itself from being destroyed. Then we've got Scrap Iron Scarecrow, which is super helpful to me. I've been jumping on the Alexander Thomas bandwagon with this one because it allows you, once again, it's just like Threatening Roar, it allows you to protect that Watt Cobra, and you can really control the game with this card if you have the right cards to support it. And then I've got 1 Torrential Tribute. I'd run 2, except for the fact that I really like Field Presence in this deck, and I think that Torrential is a problem for Field Presence. So although it's a really good card and allows me to stop my opponent's plays, I really like my Field Presence, and so I only run 1. Then you've got your Solemn Twins, pretty self-explanatory. I think you need them in any deck this format. And then I've got Starlight Road, which I normally wouldn't run except for Torrential is a major issue for this problem, and Heavy Storm is also a major issue for this deck. So that is the main deck, and here is my cat. His name is Shadows, and I am going to pretty much leave you guys up to the extra deck and leave it up to you, other than the fact that I would run 3 Paladynamo if I were you. 3 Paladynamo and double Maestro, especially if you've got the big Evilswarm meta. That's going to be extremely helpful to you, and other than that, you can kind of gear the extra deck toward your own preferences. So that is my Thunder Family deck for the post-Lord of Tachyon Galaxy format. And thank you guys for watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And Business Casual. Remember to comment and like this video if you liked it. And if you didn't like it, let me know why. And thank you for watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And Business Casual. I got a jet, guys. See ya.